Title: The Christmas Ornament. My name's Rachel. Last Christmas was the first time I genuinely feared my own child. It was December 23rd, and my husband Eric and I were decorating the tree with our 10-year-old son, Jamie. He's always been quiet, but lately he'd started doing things that unsettled me, like humming nursery rhymes in a slow, flat tone while staring at blank walls, or asking oddly mature questions, like what happens when people die in their sleep. That night, Jamie insisted on putting a new ornament on the tree, one he said he made himself. It was wrapped in a small black box with no ribbon. When I opened it, I felt an odd chill. Inside was a crude ornament made of wire and hair. Real hair, human by the look of it. I asked Jamie where he got it. He just smiled and said she gave it to me. I asked the lady in the attic. We don't have an attic. Eric laughed it off, saying Jamie probably meant something he saw in a book or on TV. But I couldn't shake the unease. I didn't want to put it on the tree, but Jamie insisted. She said it has to go on the highest branch. She said she'll only come down if it's hung high. That night, I barely slept. Around 3 a.m., I heard a soft tapping sound. I got up and crept toward Jamie's room. His door was cracked open. He was standing by the window, whispering. "She's almost here," he said to the glass. I gently touched his shoulder. "Jamie, who are you talking to?" He didn't even flinch. He just turned to me and said, "She says Daddy's not supposed to be here." He broke the promise. "What promise?" I asked, my voice shaking. Jamie only smiled and went back to bed. I shook Eric awake and told him everything. He said Jamie was just imagining things. Kids have weird dreams, Ratch. You're letting it get to you. But the next morning, Christmas Eve, Eric woke up with deep scratches all over his chest, like claw marks. We called a doctor. He said maybe it was an allergic reaction, or Jamie had scratched him accidentally during the night. But Jamie's nails were short, too short to cause those marks. That evening, Eric found an old photo tucked into one of the ornament boxes in the basement. It was a black and white picture of a woman standing in our living room, except the furniture was different, older. She wore a long dress and held what looked like the same ornament Jamie had made. On the back of the photo, written in faded pencil, it said, "She never left. She waits for the blood." Eric wanted to leave, but a snowstorm hit, trapping us in. That night, the power went out. At midnight, Jamie walked into our room, holding that ornament. "She's here," he whispered. Behind him, in the dark hallway, something moved. Not fast, not slow, just steady, like it knew it had all the time in the world. Eric grabbed a flashlight and shone it down the hall. We both saw her, the woman from the photo. Her eyes were all black, her skin pale, stretched and wrong. She pointed at Eric. Jamie said, "She says Daddy made the promise before I was born. She was supposed to get me, but now she wants him instead." Then Jamie passed out. When we woke up, it was morning. The storm had cleared. Jamie didn't remember anything. The ornament was gone. The photo was gone. And Eric's scratches had faded completely, like they'd never existed. We moved 2 weeks later. But every Christmas Eve, Jamie sleepwalks and whispers to someone we can't see. This year, he asked me, "You think she'll forgive us if we bring her something new?" I asked what he meant. He smiled. She says Mommy's made her wait too long. Title: Sounds in the Walls. When Aaron and I, Mason, moved into our first house, it felt like a fresh start. Quiet neighborhood, cheap mortgage, a little fixer-upper charm. But on the second night, we heard it, a soft tapping in the walls, like something or someone scratching gently from inside. I joked, maybe we have rats. Aaron didn't laugh. The tapping came every night. Same time, 2:13 a.m. Not random, but deliberate, rhythmic, like it wanted us to notice. One night, I tapped back. Silence. Then, slowly it tapped again. The exact same pattern. We called pest control. They found nothing, no droppings, no chew marks. One guy muttered, "You sure it's not in the crawl space?" I didn't even know we had one. The entrance was hidden under a loose panel in the laundry room. Tight, dark, lined with insulation and spider webs. I shone a flashlight inside. It was cold, and something smelled off, like old sweat and wet concrete. But no animals, no signs of anything living down there. That night, the sounds got louder. Erin started waking up at 2:13 exactly. Every night, she said she heard breathing. Not hers, not mine, just breathing behind the bedroom wall. One night, I stayed up to catch it. I pressed my ear against the drywall. Inhale, exhale, inhale, and then a whisper, "Erin." I jumped back. Erin was asleep. I checked outside. Nothing. Every door locked. But the next morning, something was off. The hallway picture frames had been rearranged. We don't touch those. And under one of them, carved faintly into the wall, "I like her." We went to the cops. Detective Riley was skeptical, middle-aged, tired, the kind of guy who's seen one too many prank calls. I told him, someone might be in our house, inside the crawl space. He chuckled. "People don't live in walls, son." He sent a unit to do a wellness check. Nothing turned up. That night, Erin refused to sleep in the house. I stayed behind, set up a baby monitor in the hallway, another by the crawl space. At 2:13 a.m., both feeds cut to static. When they came back on, the camera by the crawl space showed something. A hand, pulling back the panel, long fingers, dirty nails. It stayed there, just watching the hallway. I didn't sleep. Erin begged me to leave the house. I said, "Let me check it one more time." I opened the crawl space in broad daylight, took a crowbar and flashlight. It went deeper than I expected. I crawled in meters of dust, pipes, insulation. Then I saw it. A little space, cleared out like a nest. Ratty blankets, fast food wrappers, dozens of water bottles. And in the corner, photos of us, sleeping, eating, showering, all taken through vents and cracks. I turned to leave and heard a whisper from the dark, "Don't go." I bolted out, slammed the panel shut, and nailed it shut from the outside. We moved that day. Detective Riley came back with a warrant. The crawl space was empty. The nest was gone. Even the pictures, gone. All except one. A Polaroid left on our bed after we left. It showed Erin, sleeping, and behind her in the shadows, two eyes, wide, watching. We live in a high-rise now. No crawl spaces, no hollow walls. But sometimes at 2:13 a.m., Erin says she hears breathing behind the headboard. We don't talk about it. We just leave the lights on. Title: The Night Watchman. I grew up in rural Nebraska. My dad, Henry, owned a small farm, corn, some soybeans, a few cattle, nothing fancy. But it kept food on our table and a roof over our heads. In 2003, when I was 22, Dad got sick, real bad. He couldn't run the farm anymore, so I moved back to help. I wasn't exactly thrilled. I had plans, but it was family. The weird stuff started that October. I woke up one morning and half the cornfield looked harvested, but I hadn't touched it. No broken stalks, no tire tracks. Just neat, clean rows stripped bare. Dad said, "Maybe someone's helping us out." But he looked uneasy, and I knew why. Nobody helps out around here. Everyone minds their own. I set up a camera by the edge of the field, one of those old camcorders on a tripod. Let it roll overnight. When I checked the tape, the battery had died at 2:13 a.m. But right before it cut out, I saw movement. Something tall, on two legs, stepping between the stalks. No flashlight, no vehicle, just a figure watching the camera, then static. The next morning, 3 cows were gone. No blood, no tracks, no busted fencing. Dad didn't believe it. Cows don't just disappear. We called the sheriff. He came out, asked some questions, shrugged, and said it was probably teenagers messing around. Right, teenagers who carry off 1,200-pound animals without a sound. I started staying up at night with a rifle and a thermos of coffee. The fields were too quiet. No crickets, no wind, just this low hum in the distance, almost mechanical like an engine idling, but nothing was ever there. Then one night, I heard footsteps on the gravel behind the barn. Not fast, not sneaky, just confident. I called out, "Hey, this is private land." Silence. I fired a warning shot into the air. Still silence. I walked around the corner, and the footsteps were gone, but etched into the dirt was a footprint. Bare, human, but way too long, like someone had stretched it. I started losing sleep. I asked the neighboring farms if they'd seen anything. Old man Miller, who lived a mile down, just muttered, "It's the watchman. Should have left the light out." "What?" He looked me dead in the eyes. "You don't work after sundown. You don't look out your windows. And you never leave your land unblessed." I thought he was senile, just some folklore crap. But that night, I saw the lights. Tiny, blinking lights out by the edge of the field. Moving, like someone marking rows. I stayed in the house, but Dad didn't. I found him the next morning lying on the porch, breathing heavy. He said, "Don't let it in." That was all he'd say. He never stepped outside again. November rolled around. Frost came early, and then the barn caught fire. Nobody saw how it started. The cows were gone, equipment destroyed. Insurance blamed faulty wiring. But I saw something in the ash, buried in the rubble, a circle, burned into floorboards. Symbols carved around the edge, not letters, not numbers, just shapes. I was done. I packed Dad in the truck and drove him to my aunt's 2 counties over. He never spoke on the drive, just stared out the window. I went back one last time, just to grab my tools. As I walked up the gravel drive, I saw the cornfield, completely harvested, every single stalk, gone. And in the center of the field was a scarecrow, except we never had one. It was wearing my jacket, my hat, and its head was a burlap sack with something lumpy inside. I didn't get closer. I left everything and never looked back.